Alright, my babies. I think I figured some stuff out, by the way. One of which is one or two videos barely warm me up to start to start flowing, I want to say. Just something I didn't think I had to do with these videos. But I can always tell my confusion when I'm just doing a video and stopping or like squeezing a video in between. It comes to show like when you're doing something, especially when you're serious about it, you have to you have to give it its time instead of allow it to it's funny, it's like a couple of videos ago I probably talked about this. You have to give it its time, as in like articulate this time is for this instead of just like I'll do it while I'm waiting. Uh, well, I would like to say that this is because this process is more kind of like inputting. I'm vocally inputting into the world my thoughts in order for me to objectively see them. So I'm objectively seeing my train of thoughts, and it makes sense because I think very much so. Like the true essence of creativity is explored after like the base is kind of like spent. So I realized that, and I actually wrote something today that was very like interesting to me, and I posted it on Twitter. I even posted it on Discord. It was like, hey, I don't know why, but it kind of feels like strange to me. And it was like in my head, I called it existential health, right? Because we have health meters for everything, right? We have mental health, we have physical health, we have spiritual health, we have all that kind of stuff. But today, it kind of like got to me while I was trying to when I was doing my daily like take a video, upload it to YouTube, and kind of like explain what the video was about, because I normally just take the title and the title is very explanatory to me, and then I change it for YouTube for the algorithm and stuff like this. And I explain what I think the title would look like, which normally doesn't really like have to harmonize with it's kind of like a brief of what I think the video was about, and that allows me to re-explore that just the title itself differently. And I post it on Twitter and on LinkedIn. Today, as I was writing today, something kind of like clicked differently, and I was like, if I were to, because like today's video, the one that I was actually posting, was it's going to be tomorrow's video actually, or sorry, I'm recording this video 10 videos in, I think. But the video is confidence is how is a full understanding of our thoughts and where our thoughts kind of like are coming from and how they actually tend to happen, because there's kind of like the patterns that our mind creates and a full understanding of those. And is the brutal honesty about the position we are in terms of the real world. And naturally, that honesty is compared to I am in the position that I need to be in right now in order to figure things out. Granted. But is this where I want to be? Because ultimately, there's always like that vision, and there's something that you have to kind of like realize in order for you to move forward. And you're not the one that does the moving. The whole of life changes in accordance to that direction. So while I was writing that video, I came up with this existential health. And existential health is basically like some form of measurement that requires us to be kind of like, I don't want to use the term happy, but that is really just like your confidence in being. And it was fun for me to explore it. And I actually wrote down, I'm hoping like after I check Discord tomorrow, I get a few of you to kind of be like, yay, I think this, I think that. Just give me input or something like this. So I'm excited. Thank you guys. I love you. And you will see this video in about 10 days, I guess. And you'll probably, whoever had commented would have probably commented by then. But today's video is ups, downs, back and forth, left and right. Super true. That's literally what I wrote. And I can tell you exactly why this basically is relevant. And ultimately, we want to ask the question, like, how are you doing, man? Ups and downs, or life is taking me sideways, right? Like back and forth, left and right, going back to do something. And I really don't think that's how life works. Granted, I'm the kind of guy that just is a fan of, I think I'm a fan of stillness at the moment. And I don't really associate any form of direction anymore with how I used to like, because in a lot of my videos, I would say moving forward, moving forward. But moving forward is basically more going towards something, which is effectively moving away from something. And some way it explains itself as I am making a decision towards the direction, which is no longer my belief system because, like, it's true, I have a vision. Is it really mine? Right? Like, where did it come from? Like, my mind kind of conjured it up. It conjured it up based on certain things that I believe in, but like I believe in towards the world. But then when it comes to the beliefs in myself, how do I actually interact with that vision? And the easiest thing to do is basically to arrogantly, egotistically have an opinion towards how to reach it, which I don't think is actually fair because it's really like those screws that sometimes they get stuck. And what you need to do is kind of like reopen them until they're loose again and then go back until you screw them down the whole way. Because any form of having an opinion is basically like having the screw getting stuck. And what you do is you force it in. And what it does, it kind of like breaks the rails or something like that. So ups and downs, back and forth, left and right are all very opinionated directions. And on top of all of that, they're fucking shitty because like anything that goes up will eventually go down. Anything that goes off balance will eventually like return to its center. And backwards and forwards are really just kind of like based on the concept of time, which only exists because we are monitoring certain kinds of things and certain kinds of changes. So it feels like all of them are man made, very much so. And the idea behind it is just kind of like a different position at time, whether it's up or whether it's down, it's completely irrelevant because all of these are just what we created as human beings in order to dictate how we feel, which is also unfair to our feelings because, like, sometimes at a very low point, see, I said low point, but sometimes when things are not really going in a way where where I thought I was seeing something, not even sometimes, all the time. Like at any given point, I saw myself actually progressing. It was never at a high point, right? Any given point where I saw myself like actually uh, inspired, it was never at what we call high points. It's always when shit kind of like is just kind of like squeezing itself on you, right? And ultimately, like that's where ups and downs comes from. Like you're free versus you're not, and that's how you realize what freedom is. And why would I want to use a word that labels where I am? Because that's ultimately how my feelings kind of like just get jumbled up with that. And instead of getting excited being in this place that is eventually going to liberate me, I start being anxious when I'm liberated that this place is going to exist. It's kind of like a morbid way of thinking, right? But in left and right as well, it's kind of like a sense of direction that's not going forward. Back and forth is also kind of like, am I moving towards what I want or I'm going backwards? But there's very much often these like negative connotations that we put with going back, with a down, with I don't know, left and right seems just more to be like I don't left and right doesn't really claim to be good or bad, neither one of them. Although right is actually used after the term right, so it's kind of like what's not right is left, right? And what's left is not right. I don't know. I think I heard this somewhere. But the idea behind it is just, these labels kind of like remove us from ourselves, and they limit our expression. And ultimately, because we're using these words, they reveal something to us, or they create the pattern where we kind of like find ourselves on the actual path. But the reality is we're never going anywhere. We're just doing things. And if doing things are hard, they're the same things that sometimes we're doing things that are easy, but at one point they were hard. And why would I want to feel something towards the hard thing that I'm doing? I think the past year I struggled a lot with it. The past 6 months, because like it was always like I want to start working. I want to start working, but I was focusing on just like how my work is going to end up, maybe, or where my work is going to come from, or. So it's just kind of it's a bit frustrating to always be always trying to have an opinion instead of acknowledging fully that you are in this position and allowing yourself to explore it until you're no longer there. And I guess it's a video. Thank you, babies. I'm gonna do 3 more so I can see how my flow is this time around. Peace.